Anderson County, this is Councilman Brett Sanders recapping June the 6th, 2023's council meeting. Looked like a lot on the agenda, but it moved through fairly quickly. I'll hit some of our highlights. We did have a proclamation tonight to recognize June the 11th as Race Amnesty Day, and that was just to show that Anderson County is a diverse county and promotes everyone working in unity and getting along and moving the county forward in a positive light. So I was glad to be able to read that proclamation tonight. Also tonight we had a presentation from Mr. Matt Hogan on our roads, and it was a company that had came in, and it was called RAS, R-A-S, and they call it RAS, but they came in with a special vehicle or van that has, I forget, 40,000 sensors, 360 view, sensors in the front, so allows them to see right-of-ways. And what they did, they drove over 100 miles in District 6's area. And what it did, it allows them to not really radar roads, but it also shows you the amount of deterioration that happens over time and helps the county best utilize the timing on when money's spent on roads. And I thought that was a very interesting presentation. I'd actually seen it when they first done it. Some of the figures were a little off now. It was done almost a year and a half ago. So it was also unsettling to see, you know, the increases in cost over that short period of time. But council voted tonight to allow them to continue to map county roads. I had someone say something about let's use that money on the roads instead of doing the survey or doing the study. But the study allows you to actually understand the time frame and the deterioration of roads once they're classified. So say I have $1 million, it allows us as a county with the money that we have to utilize and maximize that money to get the most benefit for the citizens of Anderson County. So I think it is a very important study. I know our county roads and bridges staff attempt to do that, but with what, 1,571 or 84 miles of county road, it's kind of hard to ride around and rate and map roads. This is a scientific study that does it statistically, that allows us to understand the best way, as I said before, to utilize the capital and get the most out of the money we're spending on certain projects. Said they could have it done by the end of June, and which I think they'll be starting tomorrow, according to Mr. Hogan, and hopefully that will help. I know council has talked about, and we voted in title only tonight on the transportation tax or fee that actually will go on a referendum for the public to vote on. And anytime you say tax, it's a hard pill to swallow, but ever since I've been on council, I've been here, what, five years now, or going on 5 years, and my number one calls and complaints are our roads. And the thing is, as these roads, as we said in mapping that study, there was in Townville, I mean in the Powdersville area, they actually had one road there, and it showed that it was, to maintain that road in that class was over $700,000 annually to maintain the roads that rated, I think it was a 68.5%. Well, if you wait, I think it was 2 years later, that same road cost you over $871,000. So it is a problem that I don't know how the county is going to adjust. I mean, you can't. I'm not going to raise taxes at that kind of level. That's something that shouldn't be. I mean, you cut back the spending, but there's things that it's growing exponentially. There isn't a tax, I don't think, or increase, or the counties couldn't raise taxes high enough to cover our roads. And I forgot the exact number, and Greg, you may remember, they classify our roads as an asset, and it was, what, $837 million asset that the county owns. And like any other asset, it's an investment, and you've got to take care of it and protect it and invest in it. I think they also discussed at one time the vehicle registration fee, and you know, all that's going to do is really just upset a lot of people, and there's not going to be enough money there to make a significant, not even really make a dent into the problem. And it's a major problem. As I said, it's growing exponentially. I think if they voted for a penny tax on those roads, like I said, the people get to vote on it. Should that happen, that money has to be spent on county roads. That money cannot be spent on salaries, equipment. It goes on roads, safety, ditches, bridges. Our bridge system, we know that we've got a lot of bridges that need addressing, and it's something that is also monitored by the state. That money has to be spent, and in order to support something like that and to vote for, I want to see transparency. I want to know where that money's going. With the study we voted on tonight, that will allow them to classify roads so people can actually start seeing, hey, once something happens, this is our dire situation here, this is how it's going to start and play out. But I do think the key to it is to educate people on it, give them the proper information, and you know, how the rumors get started, and that Facebook rumor mill and things are misinformation. It gets exploited. I think if we get the factual information out there, plus also on that study it shows, and I've been from other sources as well on that deal, it would be 35 to 40%. 35 to 40% of the money raised under that situation will be out of county and out of state people. And you know, if you can give me a 30 or 40% discount on some pavement, I'm happy. And the other thing about that is those that money also, if you really think about, you know, any other way, a tax increase or a vehicle fee, you know, it's only the people in Anderson County that's paying it, and it's only property owners that's paying it. Under a penny tax, it will be everyone out and about and actually using it. So I think it would be a way for everyone to pay their fair share. Like I said, it's got to be spelled out and got to be transparent, and I hope to see us get some committees formed and sit down and get a better, I've got a good understanding. I think council has a good understanding. We realize, hey, this is a problem that, you know, every year you neglect it, it's growing at a greater rate, and it's going to get to the point, from what I see, you know, the next generation, the generation before that, I mean, they're going to get hit so hard. And you know, we've got a great county. Anderson County and South Carolina overall has a low tax rate compared to nationwide. I think we need to protect our investments here. We need to share in the burden on some of these things. And I think seeing a lot of that burden being paid for by out-of-county and out-of-state travelers coming in, I think it's going to maybe soften the blow, but you know, I hope to see other opportunities or ways to do it. I'm a finance guy. I love numbers. You start looking at the numbers, and I mean, this thing, it can be too far gone. I mean, it can get there in a very short time. And then I know a lot of people that I talk to, you know, they get frustrated. You know, you have a crumbling road, I mean a road that's pretty much a failure road, and then you'll see a county out here and they're paving a road that's really, you look and you go, well, that's really not that bad a road. Why ain't they paving this road? But you know, those crumbling roads cost over $1 million a mile to pave 1 mile of road. Everything has to be done. So you have this road, it's a decent road. With that $1 million, you can do 1.5 miles or 1.75 miles. So you're actually going further, and you're protecting that asset from falling down to another category. So I think we're at that point now where we're protecting our decent roads and our good roads, and the ones that's failure or intermediate or following down, they're not getting the attention they need. So,
and council has never funded roads fully since home rule started, so you're inheriting a problem that's 50 years old.
A 50-year-old problem that Band-Aids and a little hot patch kit in a pothole, and then you have a few good rains and it washes out. And a lot of people, you have all the people moving in here. Well, what about well, as these people come in, you look at the sheriff's department, the staff, the personnel increases, and I think our sheriff's doing a great job. And I want to see them be at a competitive salary to where we're not losing well-trained officers to other counties. So you got to be competitive there, and as more people come in, more expenditures are going out. Look at your landfill and your solid waste department, infrastructure on sewers, putting capacity, or not really putting capacity, but increasing capacity and putting burdens and strains on infrastructure that has to be replaced. So I mean, it's a fine balance, and I'm just glad to be here in Anderson County. I love it. I think it's the greatest place in the world. I hope other people feel the same way I do about it, and I'd like to see people take pride in it and want to invest. And I'm a firm believer in I don't like spending money on depreciating asset, but I like to look at things as an investment in the future. And when you got a $800-something million asset, I think it needs to be invested in and protected. Also tonight, we can keep moving on. We had a little deal up in my district, up in Townville at the Fork precinct, and it was they had got the proper signatures to try and implement zoning up there. So it will be on a referendum for the citizens up there to vote on. I think zoning will add an extra layer of protection to them, because it doesn't only go unzoned areas. The planning commission, they make the decision, and that's really out of council's hands. So at least in a zoned area, it will come before council, and not only just me, but since that's been in my district, I can be held accountable, and I think other council people in their district as well. I want to commend them on their hard work of getting out and raising the signatures. Wish them the best of luck there. Also, we had Josh from our emergency services. They just completed a Anderson Oconee mitigation plan for public safety, and I'm thinking, well, what's the great thing about this? But it's required by the state, and should you have some tornado or something like that come in, a nuclear plant, I mean, there's a lot of things, or what that will do. I mean, you have to have that plan, and the better plan that you have in place, the greater the funding that could come through from federal funding or state funding in an emergency situation. So I want to thank them. I think they've done the entire study with part-time help on some grant money, so it didn't cost the taxpayers locally here. Grant money is taxpayer money, and I'm glad to see that it wasn't spent down at the port somewhere, that some of that money is being spent in Anderson County. And speaking on that, I think there was over, Miss Wilson presented from her COG meeting, I think there was over $90 million in grants in Anderson County. I think that was, it shows the type of administration we have here, the type of personnel we have in place to get out and seek and fight for these grants. So hats off to them for doing a great job. Also tonight, I'm happy to announce that the town of Pendleton had sent in a request or a memorandum of understanding, and that we voted on tonight. And I want to thank my fellow council members for supporting that. It's going to be a project to waive over $75,000 in permitting and fees from the county to help Pendleton and cleaning up the Cheney Mill site up there to promote development, to promote some development up there on that Cheney Mill site. So I think that's going to be great. I'm glad that you can step in and do something for the town of Pendleton. It's in my district, and I hold the town dear to my heart. It's a great little town and area, just like I do all my areas. I love Townville the same way, fair play. But when there's a chance to step up and actually make a difference that you can see, and we'll be able to ride by there and see in the near future, a safety concern, clean up, get some money back on the tax book. So I think that's going to be a good project coming up, and I think that $75,000, like I said earlier, you know, I'm big on investing. A $75,000 investment on some permitting and fees from the county to allow, you know, a project to move ahead and develop to bring in over, you know, millions over the next 5 or 6 years. That's not bringing in anything now. So I'm glad to see we can invest in our small towns and municipalities and play a part in that. So overall, that was pretty much it tonight. Just thank you for listening, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to serve.